Hi there. It is April 20, Angel, it's Angel here. April 21st, 2026. It is 10 after 5, 10 hours. Started started a little later than I was hoping, but the title is Family Constellation Systems and Family Constellation Therapy. Somehow I watched a video today, and so I was reminded of my year of training in family constellation systems and family constellation facilitator training here in Edmonton with, I think it says there, doesn't it? Jonathan Hooton. So anyways, I got reminded by watching a video today, which I'll share just the shortest snippet with you. I kind of thought, hey, this is a topic, a really good topic for a video. And I'm planning for it to be under 40 minutes or very close to 40 minutes because I have to make supper. It's time for, I really got some salmon supper plan. What am I doing? I'm going to share my screen. Yeah, I'm going to share my screen first. Oh, la, la, la. What are you doing there? You should do that. Let's make it bigger. So I was prompted, and I'm just going to, well, in a minute I will. The Healing Power of Family Constellations, Organizing Love with Diego Salazar Yarawi from the Life of Gaia YouTube channel. I know nothing about the channel. This has sat on my watch later list for a very long time. And somehow today, I'm kind of in this one video a day allotment. So I just thought, ooh, let me see this. And it was such a good video. I highly recommend it. Let me just optimize for video sharing. There we go. And I'm just playing like the first little snippet, and I will link everything I share in the comments. But I just thought it really lit me up and made me want to talk about family constellation therapy from my point of view and my experience and perspective.
We are always exchanging information and energy in a field that we don't see. Beautiful things about family constellations is that help us to bring compassion or this humility. We don't bring judgment here in one constellation. We just wanna untangle one simple thing in the family system could create a deep transformation in one individual in a whole family system. Plant medicine and constellations work really good. Countries like Brazil, they are already using family constellations in the government, in court, for conflict resolution. My invitation to you is to take your place in life so you can fully experience this gift.
Hello, and a very warm.
So I'm just going to leave it there. Just a little intro to see this gentleman speak. But I was pretty lit up how he presented, and I was not aware that in Brazil they would use this because it is called systems and family constellation therapy. Because what you can do for a family, the larger systems, it works as well. Like we're all connected. I think bottom line is we're all connected. I know one of the terms that they used in the constellation work when I was training, and I've had quite a lot of experience with it, mostly in training, and I have dabbled a little bit. I'm very capable of using a lot of, like, we all kind of mash up the little tools we learn, and I want to show you. I like to be silly, but I'm certified. I'm certified. Anyways, I wrote an article called Credentials Schmedentials. I think credentials alone don't do the trick. So it's every unique individual takes in their experience, education, learning, and applies it in their own unique way. So I definitely recognized during the training that was going to be the case for me. Oh, I'm trying to be somewhat consecutive, but I guess I will speak to Brazil. He mentioned Brazil, and my introduction to family constellation therapy was in Brazil in October 2014. I was on a tour. Everyone was healthcare providers looking at how they treat mental health crises and conditions in Brazil. And they really do have a much more holistic approach. So there was the one psychiatrist who's also a psychic medium, and she demonstrated family constellation therapy to the group. And it was really fast. I remember it caught my attention, and yet obviously I was a little bit like a squirrel and I lost the train of it. And I'll explain how it got back into my awareness again. But I was really impressed. I'm like, what is this? In that case, and I've come to learn, it's quite rare that you would have a group and do a secret one. Like no one knew. We know there's always someone who kind of has their issue. But what ends up happening when you're in a group and you're attending to one person's issue, we're also interconnected, that I can recall during my training, I went to one of the group sessions. Like he gave us a really good deal to attend as many as we wished to during the year of training. So I did. And one of them in particular really struck me because he just said he's shared, it's almost like the universe figures out who gets to be there that day. So that day, I think 80% of the people came from homestead families, and that's sort of my origins as well. So I thought, oh, here I am. And even a friend of mine happened to be there, and I didn't even know she was a homesteader origin, ancestral family line person also. So anyways, the kind of things that came up. So very often, whoever happens to show up at a group ends up having similar patterns. And I do recall one of them, like someone else's constellation had such a big impact on me. I became dysregulated and required, like, everyone had to gather around me and kind of get me figured out again. So anyways, like it's a big deal. I'm a bit sensitive though, and I can be kind of high strung, but it can happen where, that's the only time it ever happened in all the work that I did where I really became dysregulated and needed some help. So that's where a good facilitator knows how. And really the help that I needed was just a few people putting their hands, standing behind me and putting their hands on my shoulder and just kind of let the energy flow out. So someone else's constellation ended up being completely almost more impactful on me than the person who's officially in the seat. And I know I'm not explaining very much, but anyways, if you have any interest, I just want to kind of capture some of my own experience. But that video, like, it has a lot to share about it. But I've made all kinds of notes and rough notes and stuff. So I just flipped through it very briefly this morning, and then I had a really busy day, so I didn't get to it till now to do this video. But I loved, I've written in as Jonathan Hooten. What a master! He was just so amazing. And I do have a video where I can briefly introduce you to him today. I found it just as I was preparing for this video. But I love this. I trust that you and your systems can heal. Think about that statement. And I love that. Like when you really can trust. So many of us, I think I really can relate to the fact of, wanting to help, wanting to heal, and being a little overzealous with it. Like when you're not even being asked, like, be careful. So anyways, that idea of just to trust others, trust their heart, trust their capacity to heal. Like we all have it. And I think when a lot of people in your life are like, they're so wimpy, they're weak, they're this, they're that, judge, 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 judge. There's no room for judgment. I think you heard the introduction. Like judgment really, it's not a neutral thing. And I think when you look at someone and see them as disabled or sick or weak or frail or vulnerable, everyone has a vulnerable side. Everyone has a tough side. So anyway, I just happened to notice that little thing that I wrote in. And what else am I going to do? Just made a couple. Actually, I know what I was going to do. I just had this strange idea. Let me share my screen and show you. Just because I don't want to take too much time preparing. Whoops. Page 1. Nope. Oh my goodness. There's page 1. I just thought I'd go through the table of contents just to see what jumped out at me. But just to show you that this is a table of contents of what basically is a book, my little binder that I showed you here. And I'm not going to even spend too much time. I'm just going to show them for some reason. I feel like I can do that. Where's page 2? That's page 4. Let's put you down. There's page 2. Orders of love. Yes, the orders of love. I had a little piece of paper here that talked about that. Well, maybe I'll do that when I'm on screen. Types of feelings. Shame. Basically, Jonathan Hooten, he really talks a lot about shame. And I have a video. He's rarely seen on social media, but someone managed to capture him giving a talk on shame. So I will include that link, but I'll introduce you briefly to him. Oops. Always a little inexpert since it's been a while since I've done a video. Where's page 3? Let's see page 3. I guess this it didn't work out. But parentification, that's another big one. Parentification. Kind of where a child takes on more the parent role for the parent, and super, super common. So anyways, I'm just going to brush over it because really all I'm really attempting to do here is possibly pique your curiosity to look into it. And I know every city in the world, and many of them work on Zoom these days. Parentified healer, principles of helping. Helping comes from fullness. Helping supports growth in life. Helping from a stance of equality. Oh my God, there we go. Equality. I'm so gung-ho about equality. No matter how frail or how different or how unique someone is, we are all equal, in my opinion. I just feel like there's sort of a accuracy and fundamental truth that all human beings are equal to each other, no matter how they physically present in the world. Helping supports the whole system, the whole system. Helping is without judgment. Helping is without judgment. Can we go there, please? Hello, I'm ready. Helping brings balance, helping in resonance with the soul, and helping principles. So anyways, I'm not trying to give you a teaching, but I'm just, what are you doing, Angèle? Angèle, let's put that down. And get back my thing here. Well, since I talked about Jonathan, I do have shame, the existential. Whoops, where are you? This one. Shame, and so there he is. There's Jonathan Hooton. Da, da, da. I'm just going to let him talk for just a couple minutes at most. Let's just meet Jonathan Hooton when he's talking about something that he is very expert about. Let's just see what he has to say and see if I want to read this or not. Oh,
Call this shame the existential threat, and it's a universal human experience. We are actually designed to be shamed. It's part of our physiology. And here are some quotes from people mainly in the psychotherapeutic world. Arguably the most painful and socially debilitating and ignored affective experience is shame, signaling a threat to the social self. It's ignored because shame is so hard to reveal. We can feel shamed. We can feel ashamed of being ashamed. To live with shame is to feel alienated and defeated, never quite good enough to belong. Core shame is the visceral experience of being disconnected, connected, shunned, and expelled from social connectedness. And to me, this really fits in with the constellation work, because shame is often the elephant in the room. It's the bit that's not included in the dynamics of the constellation. And at the bottom, a fate worse than death.
I think I'll just leave it there, just so you can hear my, he's an amazing long career with this work, and he was an amazing teacher. I really enjoyed taking that course. What else do I want to show? Yeah, because I actually was looking at my Authentic Family page just to see, and then that's where I got reminded, oh yeah, I have a video of Jonathan Hooton. So I was looking at my photos. So I just wanted to bring attention to this Facebook page called Authentic Family, which I collect all kinds of interesting things there, but sometimes just looking through the photos, maybe one will grab you. Let me just see if one grabs me. I've got my favorites. Big one would be the 4 agreements. Oh, there it is. There's one. To be impeccable with your words, speak with integrity, say only what you mean, avoid using the word to speak against yourself or gossip about others. 2, don't take anything personally. 3, don't make assumptions. 4, always do your best. But yeah, I'm getting off topic already. So let's go to the page, because I noticed, what's this? Oh, I noticed this is the last thing I posted on April 19th. Have a listen.
In Irish, we say tá brown arum, and I think that's beautiful, because what it translates to is sadness is on me. Not I am sad, because I'm not sad. I'm Kelly. My emotions are not who I am. They are passing visitors, not permanent states of being. I might have sadness on me now, but it won't stay forever. It might stay longer sometimes than others, but it will never stay forever. Just like happiness, elation, anger, or fear, they're all fleeting. Sadness does not define you. Never forget that. In Irish.
Anyways, I just thought that was, even the English language, how we use the English language. And I would encourage the I am, whatever you say after I am. I don't know, maybe like the Irish have figured something out here where you are not your emotions. Repressed emotions are a problem, and over-identifying with temporary states kind of has this creative capacity to make them more permanent than you would probably choose consciously. So anyways, I just thought that was interesting to throw in there. But yeah, one of the principles, family constellation therapy, was developed by a man named Bert Hellinger. So in that video, that original seed video of sounds like a Brazilian guy talking to a South African woman. I guess she reminded me that Bert Hellinger spent I think it was 16 years down in South Africa working with the Zulu people. But anyways, he developed, another thing, just in this moment, my higher self is reminding me, what I love about this, the contrast with our legacy allopathic medicine system, is it's phenomenological. And what that means is like they saw certain phenomena popping up And they didn't try and put it in a box and give it a label and a diagnosis and rewrite someone's whole future because of something like, but the phenomenon was kind of in the background of World War II. So they noticed that a lot of the ancestors following World War II soldiers had certain things in common. And so that anyways, that's kind of, you know, the fact that he's from Germany and he developed this phenomenological approach in Germany is somewhat connected to the World War II and you know, the German shame, I guess, associated with how things went there. I won't go into that. But anyway, so Bert Hellinger is the originator, but I think it's just gone in every direction with all these unique people. And I will share about it. One particular one who's also German, who I came to meet and love so much because in a workshop scenario, he came to Edmonton and wow. So the orders of love, you know, that Bert Hellinger made all these proclamations and there's been a lot of talk and whatever, but really it's worth considering. Everyone in a family has a right to belong. Just that alone, like everyone. A really big first step, the most simple kind of constellation you could do is set up your family and don't not include anything. You can include miscarriages, abortions, all siblings, and sometimes there's 2 marriages and half sister, half brother, stepsister, stepbrother, like the whole shebang. And you know, if you're one-on-one, you might use a little Playmobil. Like my very first, okay, God, I'm all over the place. But anyways, yeah, so in 2014, I was introduced to the family constellation therapy. It was quite miraculous. The person who it was for, no one knew any of the details. We just were told, okay, I was playing great grandma or somebody. Everyone had a role. And we just all did what we felt to do, move how we feel to move and say what you feel to say. And I remember saying a few things to a couple different people. And then in the end, we learned the next day that it was hugely impactful and lots of healing occurred for the woman who we were all representing members of her family. So of course, none of us know her. We didn't know her that well. We had just traveled. By that time, we'd really only maybe known her for 4 days or something. She was from New York. That's what I do remember, and that she was a doctor. Don't even remember her name, but yeah, so it's just, I thought that kind of struck, and I remember thinking, oh, I got to look into this. But I didn't actually look into it until January 2018. So it presented back in my life in a very, I guess it is story worthy because I did have an out of the ordinary experience, what legacy medicine calls psychosis. So I did have this episode of psychosis, and you know, you don't remember everything when you're in these altered states, but I was in an altered state and I do kind of remember a lot. Like I started doing constellation work, system constellation work, not so much family. Like every little item I could get my hands on represented something, and I was in it doing it. And I was telling my friend Sharon, who was helping me, you know, she was my main caregiver because she was a peer and she understood kind of what I was going through. I think it was a very hard job for her, but I guess she tells me after I came out of it, I had said to her, I guess over 12 times, I'd say, Sharon, write this down. Family constellation therapy, write it down. So here I'm in this altered state. I can literally remember my banjo case and I was grabbing this, grabbing that, and I was doing. And then I go in another room and do something like that again. And like, so honestly, that was, I could talk a lot about that, all these specific experiences, but in this altered state, I was remembering and I was literally doing it. And so that was, many of them were more system level, but one of them was planetary and it was related to water. And I remember that. I'm just like, what? So when I finally I came to partly because of, you know, I really told them I didn't want to be sent to the hospital. So that my wishes were being honored, but my family was kind of knocking on the door saying, hey, if she's not better by tomorrow, we're taking her to the hospital. So every now and then I'd be not listening. And then Sharon would look at me, Angel, take this Ativan or you're going to go to the hospital. So I'm like, oh, okay. So anyway, there's like a child and kind of a naughty child. And yeah, it was so cool, actually, that whole experience, because in the process of it, Sharon being like me, at one point we were having this conversation, and then one of my great grandmas came through her and she could feel it. She's like, and she was speaking with a French accent, like, you know, Francescoise, like I come from Saskatchewan. So Francescoise French accent is very distinct. And she's like, I was talking in this French accent. I don't know what the heck was going on. So anyways, my great grandma was there, I guess. But yeah, anyway, that makes me look kind of crazy. But really it just kind of, then I'm like, okay, then Sharon, at the end of this, she gives me this piece of paper. Angel, You told me 12 times to write this down here. And I'm like, oh, did I? Okay, thank you. So then I literally found a local girl, a couple, it was two ladies, and I went and did my first constellation therapy within, I'm sure it was weeks of this pretty big deal. Like, I consider psychosis as a rotor-rooter clearing of the psyche. So it's not for the faint-hearted, and it was a bit dramatic, I guess you could say. But it settled basically 3 days after I started taking niacin, which we kind of learned, kind of got, when you ask the right person, niacin could be considered a natural antipsychotic. So it's worth mentioning these things too, because if you happen to have a loved one or yourself, I mean, probably you wouldn't be in the right mind to remember, oh yeah, niacin could act like, but we're talking high dose, like 3-4 grams a day. I think I took no more than 4, but some people have taken up to 6. And some people have had acute psychosis settle down within 1 day. So we were cautious, and I was also using another natural remedy. So for the first 3 days, it didn't quite, until the niacin, and then I got a lot better, and then it resolved completely. But it was a 6-day thing, so that sounds like a long time. I mean, certainly I could have been slammed down with an antipsychotic medication in about 2 minutes. But the one time I did get that by injection, and I was obtunded for 3 days. So that's a really bad side effect. But anyway, that's an aside. But yeah, so I wanted to just that. Oh yeah, so I guess I can keep going with my story. So then I met these two ladies. And then the funny thing is, me being me, what was it? Oh yeah, you know what? It wasn't right away. Because now I can remember it had to be like October 2019. I'm just in this moment realizing, okay, there was a big gap before I finally followed through. Because I did have some recovering and integration to do after that big episode. And I do remember March of 2018, spending an entire month. I remember sitting down one night on a March evening on my patio, just saying, okay, I'm going to clear all my grief, and I'm not getting up out of this chair until I do. Well, that was kind of a silly thing to say. And I think I literally went hard for about a month, clearing grief. So finally, somehow with that non-medicated, non-allopathic, all holistic care that I received for this fourth significant out of the ordinary experience that I had, which medicine calls psychosis, I finally could resolve it. Like the process had a chance to complete. So anyway, and I'd stopped medication of all allopathic medication in 2016. So anyways, just my story is weird, but I mean, I learned by doing and I learned by experience. So that's kind of cool. So the preventification, do I have anything here? I guess one little note I made, blind love, a disempowering way of helping. I've written, rescuing can be the most hidden and deepest form of disrespect. This is quoted to a man named Stephen Hausner. So I thought, wow, that's amazing. Oh, I'm jumping all around. I can see that already. Yeah, okay. So the reason why I realized, okay, it was fall of 2019 when I had my first session. No, that's not true because I took this in March. This isn't even making, oh yeah, 2018, right, okay. Yeah, okay. No, it was in March, because how would I have gotten into this course? Because those ladies told me, I said, oh, where did you get your training? And they told me it was Jonathan Hooten, and he was just starting a course. So it was just perfect timing. Yeah, that's right. That was March of 2019 that I started this training, but I met those ladies just a couple of weeks prior to that. But me being me, I just started dating relatively soon. I'm feeling confused, but anyway, whatever. I'm getting a little mixed up because I'm remembering that I went with a man I had just started dating. And I'm like, that was actually a bad idea, but I didn't realize it until I'm in the middle of it. And I thought, well, let's both go. And so we both go and think we really didn't know each other that well and that close, but we ended up having each other's session in front of each other. And in my case, I was like, oh, as soon as I saw it, I'm like, ooh, a family secret. So I'm like, oh, geez, okay, it's not gonna be a family secret. Now there's gonna be 3 new people who know. But anyway, so I was very shocked. And then he was as well. He had, and in the process of me being present for his, I was channeling his dead brother. I was like, it was a really big deal. It's like, wow, okay. So we both had shocks to, like, ooh, I might have liked to do that without you here. But anyway, whatever. We did that. So we knew each other a little better after that. So I did the course, and in the process, and I noticed as I was looking through this binder, he did specifically say that the best book that he recommended was called An Inner Navigation by Johann Schmidt. So I bought that book, and I don't think I read it until after I finished it, but in the process of the year, he brought Johann Schmidt to Edmonton, and he had a 3-day or a weekend workshop. Maybe it was only 2. So I got to see him in action, and oh my God, did we ever connect, to the point where I'm just sitting there as a member of, God, there must be 50 people, like a pretty good sized thing. And at some point he starts talking about Crazy Wise, the movie, and I'm kind of like, and then he starts looking at me, he's looking at me, he's looking at me. So he recognized me from some of my interviews that were on the Crazy Wise website. So it was funny. And then he said, yeah, next time I'm in town, let's go for supper. And then in the end, I think COVID hit, and yeah, he was supposed to come back for a 1 week trauma week training of some sort. And so he never did come. And they ended up, it's never happened. It got canceled because of COVID, and then he never came. But anyways, witnessing how he did family constellation therapy, I thought that's exactly how I would do it. He's so good at representing, and I learned that I'm actually really good at it. I think everybody is, but I think I'm particularly good. And interestingly, in the course, like the person often chooses who's going to represent what. And then so often, whenever there was any abstract thing to represent, that would be me. And I loved representing, things like I represented sugar, I represented guilt, I represent like those abstract things. So I would just like, it's just such a cool experience, because then you just say what you feel to say, and then blah, blah, blah. And then with a good facilitator on hand, you could basically kind of tease around, watch how things go. And it can be very moving, because we all obviously had lots of constellations for ourselves in the process of this. And as I was doing that course, I'm very system and kind of planetary level. So I started to kind of mention to Jonathan that I was doing it this way, but I realized, okay, he's not interested. So I was on my own, amplifying, and like all the times we were doing constellations, I often would be amplifying them out in a more wider way. So anyways, I very close to did a second time, and it's not uncommon for people to do the course twice, just because it's so rich, it's so deep, like it's never going to be the same way twice. There were 5 people in our class. One flew in we met for a week, 4 times in the year, a full week. And one came from Nova Scotia, one came from Winnipeg, one came from Fort Saskatchewan, which is like maybe an hour's drive, and one from Calgary who had to drive 3 hours. And I drove 10 minutes. He happened to be 10 minutes from my house. So anyways, he almost canceled, because 5 students is not a lot, but he decided to go ahead, and I'm so glad he did. Anyways, this is just me sharing in my own way about that. What else did I want to say about it? I think that is enough, because actually, yeah, that's right. I'm trying to stick to 40 minutes, so let's not worry about saying anymore. Where I want to share my screen, because I really wanted to throw in maybe a couple of things more. And so that was my, I wanted March. it was early in March. I discovered this Jason Gray, and I just find his writings. He's based in Winnipeg, Manitoba, 2 provinces away from me. And I feel to read today, like he's so prolific. I'm trying to keep up. Once I've discovered I've been trying to, but it's so much. It's just so much writings. But today's writing, I just thought I would include it in this video. He's got the picture here. I don't know if I can make this bigger, can I? I'm just going to read it, because this one's actually short for a Jason Gray writing. And I think it's kind of fitting into this. The Invisible Strings by Jason Gray. You believed you were free, not in a loud declared way, but in a quiet assumption that lives beneath everything. The assumption that your thoughts originate within you, that your desires are authentic, that your decisions emerge from something called you. You believed your life was self-authored, that the path you walk is the result of your will, your effort, and your identity shaping itself through time. Look closer, not at the surface of your life, but at the structure beneath it. Because what if none of it began with you? What if every moment, every preference, fear, ambition, attachment, rejection, craving, and even your most sacred sense of self was not chosen, but inherited, instilled, reinforced, looped? What if the system guiding you is not visible because it does not exist outside you, but through you? Not a ruler, not a council. Let's just move that up there. Not a hidden group behind a curtain. Something far more complete. A system so ancient, so precise, so deeply embedded into the architecture of consciousness itself that it no longer needs to control you. Only to be believed, only to be agreed to. These are the invisible strings. Not ropes, not chains, but patterned frequencies. Silent agreements. Unquestioned assumptions that bind awareness to structure until the structure becomes indistinguishable from reality, but is not actually reality. You were not captured by them. You were born inside them, and because of that, you call them life. The strings of form. Before you ever spoke a word, you were named. Before you formed a thought, you were categorized. Before you understood existence, you were defined. This is the first string, identity. Not the organic recognition of self, but the imposed framework through which self must be interpreted. Your bloodline was logged, your environment preloaded, your language installed before your memory could resist it. You were told this is who you are, this is where you belong, this is what you are allowed to become. And because you arrived without comparison, you accepted it as truth. But identity as given is not truth. It is containment, a looping structure masquerading as heritage, a script disguised as culture, a boundary painted as pride. It narrows infinite possibility into manageable fragments. It teaches you to introduce yourself before you even know what you are. And if you try to remove one layer, if you question your role, your label, or your assigned meaning, you will feel resistance. Not because you are wrong, but because the system is interconnected. Pull one string and the web tightens, not to punish you, but to restore the pattern. The strings of belief. Once identity is stabilized, belief is installed. You are not asked what is true, you are told. You are given narratives wrapped in authority, delivered through institutions that existed before your awareness. You are handed answers before you even know the questions. This is the second string, belief as inheritance. You are given frameworks for existence. What created you? Why you are here? What happens when you die? What is good? What is evil? And most importantly, what you are allowed to question. These systems do not require your understanding. They only require your acceptance. Because belief is not just an idea, it is a lens. A lens. And once installed, it reshapes everything you perceive. The system does not demand that you believe correctly. Only that you believe consistently. So the system does not demand that you believe correctly, only that you believe consistently. Because once you are anchored to belief, you are predictable, and what is predictable can be guided. What is guided can be contained. The greatest threat to this structure is not disbelief, it is direct knowing. The moment when truth is no longer received, but recognized, when something inside you remembers without being told, when no external authority is required to confirm what you already see. The moment cannot be controlled, so it is buried, ridiculed or drowned beneath noise. The strings of distraction. Once identity defines you and belief stabilizes you, your attention is captured. This is the third string. Noise. Not random chaos, but curated stimulation. A continuous stream of urgency, outrage, desire, comparison, fear, and novelty. You are kept moving, scrolling, reacting, and consuming because attention is not passive. It is generative. Whatever you focus on, you reinforce. Whatever you repeat, you become. The system does not need to hide its mechanisms. It only needs to keep you too occupied to notice them. You are constantly pointed outwards, towards events, toward conflict, towards spectacle, so that you never look inward long enough to see the structure holding you. The deeper you stay at the surface, the more the surface appears, and the strings, they disappear completely. Not because they are gone, but because you stopped looking for them. The strings of resistance. Eventually, something in you senses the pattern. You begin to question, to push back, to resist, and this is where the system reveals its most refined layer. The fourth string. Controlled opposition, because rebellion, if left unchecked, would dissolve the entire structure. So rebellion is absorbed, repackaged, redirected. You're given new identities to oppose the old ones, new beliefs to replace the previous ones, new movements that feel like liberation. They too operate within the same boundaries. You are allowed to fight, allowed to protest, allowed to declare independence as long as the framework itself remains intact. You switch sides but never leave the field. You feel awakened but remain engaged in the same game. True freedom does not look like opposition. It looks like exit. An exit cannot be marketed. It cannot be organized. It cannot be handed to you as a solution. It must be seen. The untouched signal. Beneath identity, beneath belief, beneath noise, beneath resistance, there is something untouched. Not a concept, not a role, not a learned truth, a presence. Silent, unconstructed, unaffected by the systems layered above it. This is the final string, the one they could not attach to anything because it was never external. It is not something you were given. It is what remained when everything else was added. It does not speak in language. It does not argue. It does not convince. It simply is. And when you begin to sense it, the structure starts to loosen, not because you fought it, not because you dismantled it, but because you no longer mistake it for yourself. This is where unraveling begins, not through destruction, but through recognition. Recognition, recognize yourself. Revelation protocol, engaged. I love that. If these words feel familiar, not new, but remembered, then something has already shifted, because the system can only operate fully when it is unseen, hidden behind the curtain. The moment you perceive the pattern, you are no longer fully inside it. Once that happens, the strings do not break all at once. They fall away gradually, one assumption at a time, one layer at a time, until what remains is not a better version of the system, but something that was never part of it. And then he has a really interesting way of coding things. File number PMB-001-void thread.acache or -acache 9. Status, awareness breach confirmed. Frequency code, 77 nod delta 00.33. Recursion pattern, null goes to C, goes to release. Binary strand, 010011001100111101010111. Translation. Now, anyways, I guess that wasn't that short, but some of them are a lot longer than that. But anyways, I wanted to just share some of Jason Gray's writing because I love it. And there's only one last thing today. Oh, hey, toolbar's in my way. It's a song. I really like this. There's a cartoon version of Rayon de Ruin, who is the person who created this AI music and created Perfect. Just a nice song to end our little exploration here today.
For something perfect. You think you're alone. Every day it grows stronger. I've been waiting for something perfect, but I'm sure it's you. Now the starseeds bloom. You think you're alone. You think you're alone. You were created perfect.
You were created perfect. I just like listening to the song. It's my favorite of the Rayon de Ruin latest additions to his creative life.
Created perfect. Created
Anyways, many people could question why I'm doing it this way. I have to say, I'm kind of surprised. Just felt like I wanted to do this. I'm going to sign out. Bye-bye for now. Little taste of family constellation therapy, highly recommended modality, and there are countless number of facilitators all around the world.